Hi, I'm Charlie from Reader Turned Writer, and today I am sharing 10 books that I should own but don't. So books that I should own but I don't. So I have always owned quite a few books. When I was younger, like in middle school and high school, I owned quite a few books. I remember having a few boxes of books that I would kind of move around to different places, different shelves and things. And my mom always owned a lot of books. And then when my husband and I got married, we were in an apartment and we moved from different apartments and staying with different relatives. And we haven't ever had a ton of bookshelf space, and so most of the time, pretty much all of my books have been in boxes. And we have collected some books since we've gotten married, and he brought some books with him and I had some books before, but I really hadn't started really collecting books and building up my library until very recently, and so I have quite a few books that are missing. And right now my husband and I, we just moved into our new house and we're trying to pay off our house as quickly as possible. Our goal is 3 to 5 years, so we're trying to be really fast. We have a small amount of money that we give to ourselves in our budget every month that we can spend on whatever we want, and I pretty much always spend it on books, but it's not very much, so I have to grow my collection slowly because books are pretty expensive. I don't have these books in a super specific order, but the last few are definitely the ones that I want the most that I'm going to mention. So the first book or series that I wish I owned but didn't is the Selection series by Kiera Cass. This is the one, but it has 2 other books in it, plus it has some other books that I haven't even read in the series that were kind of, I'm not sure if they were like spin-offs or just, I don't know, I haven't heard super great things about them, so I haven't read them yet, but I do want to have all of the books because I actually really like the Selection series. I know it wasn't like the deepest and that there were some things that were kind of wrong with it, but I really enjoyed it. I loved the premise, I loved the characters, and I'm all for a love story, and it was a really fun read. I also really wish I had Book of a Thousand Days by Shannon Hale. This is another book by Shannon Hale, The Princess Academy, and it's one of my favorites by her, but I also really love A Book of a Thousand Days. I actually think A Book of a Thousand Days is her very best book that she's ever written. It's super good and such a fast read, but I don't have it. I have the Princess Academy series, which I just recently got, and I also have the Goose Girl series minus the last book for whatever reason. I don't know why, because the last book was out when I bought this series. I definitely want A Book of a Thousand Days to be in my near future purchasing when it comes to books. The third one that I thought of was The Work and the Glory by Gerald Lund. This is an LDS fictional series set in the time when Joseph Smith was first forming the LDS Church, and I love this series. I read it numerous times, and it would be super easy to buy because I could go to our local thrift shop. I live in Utah and we have a thrift shop called the DI, and it always has the Work and the Glory books because I live in Utah, and so I could get probably pretty nice copies for about $4 each. It's just hard to spend the money on it when I know that I could go anytime and buy them, but I really do need the rest of the series. Next, I chose Twilight by Stephenie Meyer, and I know this one is kind of a weird one to put because there are a lot of mixed feelings out there about Twilight. I don't know if I want to own the whole series, but I do want to own the first book. There are 2 reasons. First, I actually really did enjoy it as a teenage girl, and I wouldn't mind my girls reading it as well when they grow up to be a little bit older, but I also wouldn't mind rereading it now that I'm older, just to kind of see what I think of it now, I guess. Next one is Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I actually don't own any of the Narnia series currently. I used to. When I was a teenager, I had all of the Narnia series in softcover. When we kept moving around and we were getting ready to move to our house, we were trying to move as little as possible, and I had a lot of softcover books that were in boxes that I was storing that I knew I'd one day want to get a hardcover for because I love hardcover, and if it's possible I'd rather have all my books in hardcover, and there are some books that you just can't really get in hardcover, and so I kept those soft, and there were some that I kept just because, but Narnia was one of the ones that went because they weren't really in that good of condition anyways, but I never replaced them yet, and I really want to. I actually really want to reread the Narnia series like right now because I haven't read it since I was very young, and I feel like I would get a lot more out of it. Fifth, I did The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I have never read this book. I don't own this book. I really want to read this book and own this book. I already know it's one that I want to own even though I haven't read it because I have literally never heard anything bad about it and only good, and I know it's really clean and about World War II and just something that I'm really interested in and from a really interesting perspective, and so that's one that I really need to buy and read. Then I did the Clockwork Angel series by Cassandra Clare. A while ago I did buy the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare at a thrift store, and I read them and I honestly wasn't very impressed and I actually got rid of them because they just really weren't my kind of books. But I have read the Clockwork Angel series and I actually like that one a lot more, and so I would consider owning that series, and that is one that I don't own that pretty much everybody on BookTube seems to own. So we're getting to the top 3 now. These are books that I just cannot believe that I do not own. I was almost shocked that I don't own these books, so if you're shocked, I'm sorry. Top 3, third was Lord of the Rings. I did used to own a softcover box set of the Lord of the Rings when I was in high school. The cover was the ones with the movie cover on them with the live actors and stuff, and the spines were all broken, and I knew I wanted to get some of the really cool editions because they have a lot of really cool editions of the Lord of the Rings out there. So I actually gave it to my brother, who doesn't really care what books look like. I just haven't replaced it yet. I do have this really cool copy of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. My sister-in-law actually gave it to me when I got engaged to my husband as kind of a welcome to the family, we're excited that you guys are engaged present, and I really love this copy of it. So I'm excited to get some really cool copies of The Lord of the Rings. Top 3, number 2 would be the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. This is a separate series from the Mistborn, but it's set in the same world. But I don't have any other Mistborn ones. I don't have the books that come after this in this series. I don't have any of the original series, and I really need to buy them because the Mistborn is what everybody knows Brandon Sanderson for, and I love the Mistborn. It's actually my husband's favorite trilogy, and Brandon Sanderson's like my favorite author, so every book by him, I'm like, why don't I own these books? It's because we buy the books, my husband and I, and then we give them away to people as presents because we want them to read Brandon Sanderson, or because we know they love Brandon Sanderson too, and we've done that with so many copies of his books, especially ones that we got signed because we used to live in Orem and he would do book signings a lot at a bookstore near us. This one, yeah, this one's actually signed too. We've gotten a lot of books signed by him and given them away, and so we don't own a lot of Brandon Sanderson books, but I've been working to fix that. I recently completed the Stormlight Archive up to date. Only 3 books so far. And I also completed the Stillheart series, the Reckoner series. So next is probably going to be Mistborn, unless I decide to get some of the standalones like Warbreaker and Elantris. We'll see. I don't know. There's too many books to buy. The number 1 book series that I should own that I don't is Harry Potter. This is the only Harry Potter book that I own. My husband, when we got married, had a soft cover of the first one, which of course I got rid of. I'm pretty sure we'll just stick with this edition if I can still get it. But I do really like the Hogwarts House editions, and I also really want to get some of the illustrated editions. They're just so expensive that it's hard when I can only buy 1 book. Although I do want to reread Harry Potter and do like a Harry Potter movie month where I only read that and then I like make a video about the differences and what I did, and maybe pull my husband into it with me so we could do the video together. We'll see if I actually end up doing that, but I have to buy all the Harry Potter books first. So obviously there are tons more books that I want to own that I don't, or that I should own but I don't, and I couldn't name them all here. There's no way. Some of them you've never heard of, a lot of them you've probably heard of, but those are just my top 10 books that I really want to own, that I wish I owned, that I'm shocked I don't own, but that I don't. What are some books that you wish you owned but don't actually own? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.